wish I could tell a story like we did, but I was born here in Charlottesville, but at the age of 2, I was given to my grandmother as a guardian. She was my guardian. And I started school at Jefferson School, elementary school. Not this building, but it was a little building that's owned in this area. And I went from the 1st to the 3rd grade at Jefferson. Then I was transferred to my mother in Washington. I went to school there from the 4th to the 6th grade. In the 7th grade, I was back here. In the 8th to the 12th grade, I was back in Washington. So it was back and forth, and so I was very, for me it was, Lord, where do I belong? During that time, for me, it was just a lot of rejection because of going back and forth and the whole bit. And so I don't have a happy song to sing about that except rejection. And by God allowed me to be the first thing in a lot of things I needed to know about rejection. So, but at 5 years old, I had a vision. And that vision was, I was flying through the air, and I would reach down and put people on my back and pull them out of the fire and fly around. I didn't realize at that time it was really a calling into ministry, but I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted people to be healed. And then, when I was around 9, we studied about Florence Nightingale. And I just remember saying, I want to be a nurse. You know, I want to help the wounded and I want to help the sick. And so I kept that in heart and mind. And I finished school at 16. I started at 5, and they lied about my age, so that's where I kept telling people I'm 79. I realized I'm just 78 because I had to put my age up so many years. And but in the process of I forgot where I was now. What was I talking about?
Your vision.
That's part of the senior citizen. Florence Nightingale, I think that's where I was. But I just remember I want to be a nurse. I want to help people. And I used to just see buildings empty. So I had a sort of double call there because I would see empty churches and I would see empty buildings, even as a small child. I said, I'm going to open that building up and I'm going to take all these people in there and I'm going to see that they get healed. I didn't realize it was a spiritual healing that was needed sometimes more than physical healing. But finally, at 16, when I finished school, I was homeless at that time. I'll just leave it right there. But I had a favorite teacher, Mrs. Brown, and she inspired me she knew my situation, and I didn't need but 2 units to finish school, so they set it up so I could finish in summer school. And once I finished school in Washington, I've been here in Charlottesville ever since. But meanwhile, once I finished, I said, I want to go to nursing school. But I checked and found out that I couldn't go to nursing school here in Charlottesville because they did not allow black people. So, but they told me at that time, wait till you're 18. So when I was 18, I still was not able. At 18, I was married and ready to have my first child, but also at 18, we still weren't permitted to come to UVA for schools. So they offered nursing in I think it was probably 1960 something. And I started the LPN program, in which I finished the LPN program. Graduated as a president there. But in the process of all that was going on, I still knew there was a calling. So I'll just leave it right there. So my childhood was not the happiest childhood, but it was a childhood where I was determined that I was not going to let people step on top of me. So it gave me a determination to move forward, and also determination that that was not going to happen to my children, our children. They would never be rejected, and they never would be. Anyway.
So Apostle Kelley, what they may not know is that after you finished the program there, you also decided to attend Piedmont, where you have a degree in business and computer programming. And you also went on to ECPI and did some work there. If you could share a little bit more about your transition from nursing to chaplaincy, but let's elaborate a little bit more on how computer programming made you a chaplain. Don't y'all want to know that? Is that possible?
Well, what happened as far as nursing, because, I loved nursing, but I did not love the hours. And we had 2 small children as far as that was concerned, and it was interfering with our marriage as well. So I started at ECPI while I was still in nursing. But I'll say it this, first of all, I was working in the kitchen. I'll start there. And working in the kitchen because that was the only job I could find, even though I had graduated from high school. And I knew then that I could do more than just pass a trade to somebody after finishing school. And so that's when I took the LPN training, because that's what was offered. But meanwhile, because of the hours more than anything else, and the mistreatment that I was getting at that particular time in Martha Jefferson, I started taking the ECP our program, mainly because I wanted more money and better hours, not because I hated nursing. And in the process of the computer programming, I realized that I'm human-oriented and not task-oriented. I decided to go to Piedmont, and I went into business management and retail merchandising, realizing I still was not task-oriented to sit down and do accounting. When it was all over with, I ended up back in nursing, and that was I ended up working at the jail. And while at the jail, I recognized how much the calling of ministry was in my life. And I enjoyed so much talking to the fellows there. And working at the jail, I still needed a little more income because I was used to getting that income from computer programming, so I had to work part-time in nursing at the UVA. And one of the nurses, because I would always, in caring for the patients, if they desired they wanted prayer, I would always, pray with them, seek them, pray with them. And one of the nurses came, if you want to be you should be a chaplain instead of a nurse. She was very sarcastic about it. I said, oh, thank you, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea. So immediately, I'm serious, I went up to Chaplain Vern Max, and I asked him, how do you get into the program as a chaplain? And I was assistant pastor at that time in Galilee Baptist Church, and he told me you'd have to be, in that area. And he gave me all the things that I needed. But they didn't have a place for me. But I was so persistent until he said, well, listen, we're just going to have to open up a place for you because you just seem like you. And so that's how I got into the chaplaincy program, through Vern Max and just his consideration of me. But it was hard for me because I was still the only black, and no one really related to me in the whole bit. But that gave me a chance to minister to the people, as well as still, that nursing was still in there. And so that's how I ended up in the chaplaincy program. And I still keep on the list. I told Reverend Bess I wanted to be on the list as far as volunteer. but I don't have much time for volunteering, just being the pastor. But I'm still willing to do that. And so that's how I got into the chaplaincy program. Each one from the ECPI to Piedmont, each time I would work, while I was in one program, I would work and get into the next program. And so that's how I ended up where I am now. Oh, then I ended up going off to college to Howard for ministry and got my BA there. And then I went to Culpeper and got advanced in theology there as well.
All right, so these ladies,
how that propelled you forward, but something that sticks out in your mind if you have another moment or just to elaborate on how you worked through that.
As I shared at first, because I was so used to rejection, and believe it or not, God is still healing areas of my life even today. And it gives me that desire to see other people have that freedom as well, because I know what it is to go through rejection. But in the process, each time, I was so used to rejection, say it that way, I really feel that was meant to be. Because I was so used to rejection, when I was being rejected, I didn't even realize I was being rejected. You know, being left out of something or not being told about something. For instance, in nursing, I won't say where, but at one time, if you all remember, we used to have to use red ink for the morning and blue ink for the evening. And I was, well, I have to say where because I was at Martha Jefferson at that particular time. But I was the first nurse, black nurse there, but I was also the one that, along with the RN that started the coronary program at Martha Jefferson Hospital. We had 4 bedrooms, 4 beds there. But meanwhile, just writing in blue ink instead of red ink, they wanted to fire me, even though I couldn't get out of the unit, you know, because of the patients. I didn't have a red ink pen at the time, so I wrote it, the timing down in blue, but I didn't have red ink. They was constantly trying to find something to cause you, they couldn't ever find anything, so they wanted to fire me because of writing in blue ink. Can you believe that? But I shared with them one thing that I did when I came from ECPI, because at ECPI, they asked for 4 students that were A students. And all the way through school, God allowed me to be an A student. I guess that was the only thing I really felt good about at that time. 4 of us went to a company in Crozet. They hired the 3. They were white. They didn't hire me. But the determination for Sarah Kelley was, I called Equal Opportunity Commission, and they came in to Charlottesville, Virginia. And they checked it out to find out that I was really being discriminated against. I wrote an article in the Daily Progress that Charlottesville still, you know, segregated, discriminated. I can't think of the word right now, senior citizen. But meanwhile, they came down, they found out that I was discriminated against. They wanted to hire me, but I told them then, no, indeed, I wasn't about to go for them to find something wrong with me to fire me. But I just wanted them to know then that that was unjust. If I had the same knowledge that anyone else had, why? Because my skin was brown, would I not be able to do exactly what they were doing? And so I've always just had that fight. And so I don't know whether it's a mean fight or what kind of fight. But it's just one that, why be unjust? So that's why I deal with impact. That's because of injustice right now, that organization. Because, and I'm with Charlene with racial dialogue because of injustice. Because I really believe that if you're capable and able to do something, you should be permitted to do it and not because of a color. And so that's where I was with that, and I'm quite sure it doesn't sound too encouraging what I'm saying. But I want other people to know when God is giving you something to do, just endure hardness like a good soldier, because that's what God allowed me to do. I think the encouragement that I see in life right now, I never would have thought that there would be a call on my life for ministering to anyone. And I'm just straight and try to be honest. When God called me into ministry, I was working at the jail. I remember telling God, God, you know I can't stand people. I know this is not God calling me. I didn't mind sharing with people, but I'd help you any kind of way, but I didn't want to be bothered with you. And I knew that. But God just showed me, He said, I'm not going to allow you to minister in your love. I'm going to give you my love to minister in. And that's what He did. He gave me His love to minister. And I thank God for the congregation, those that were able to get off today to come. Because they tell me I'm still a nurse. I'm a doctor and everything at the church. You know, and so I'm still in nursing, and nursing is still in me, as well as ministry is in me. And so I guess when I think about the most enjoyable time, believe it or not, it was while I was working at the jail. And I recognized then, you know, people may make mistakes, but God is a forgiving God, and people have another chance. And that's how He even started the Another Chance ministry, because God is a God of another and another and another and another chance. And I know the many chances He gave me, and I wanted other people to know that God is a God of another chance. So that's my greatest joy, is while I was working at the jail and knowing that I'm required and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And nothing worse, like I said, I was in computer programming, yes, but computer programming was not in me. I did not enjoy task-oriented work. I love people now, and that's because the love of God has been placed in me. And so that's my greatest joy that I can remember. Just the guys, when I quit to go full-time in ministry, they petitioned the jail, the guys that petitioned that I would not leave the jail, sent out a petition. And that was great joy to me to know that I represented God so much, and they called me Mama at the jail, and I represented God so much that they didn't want me to quit. And so I still go. I've been going since 1980 as a volunteer, also at the Fluvanna prison as a volunteer. And those are times that I enjoy ministering. And when something comes up that has to do with nursing, that's part of me too. And so that's my joy. They're my joy. Amen. My advice is unless God heals, you don't get healed. That's all I know. And my advice is when there's something that has to be done, endure. Because quite naturally, most of the time when it's something that's really, really important, there's going to be hardships in it. But at the same time, those hardships is what make you. And so I thank God for every hardship that has been in my life, because it has made me who I am today. Still run through insecurities, but secure in one thing. I know I'm doing exactly what God would have me to do at this time, and that's my greatest security.